all right, he's a sole player. I trust that this is going to be fine, and we're not gonna. It's going to be like a fun adventure. We know that we're not going to be make a lot of money. It's not like a business to make money. It's more like a business to make fun and hopefully not to lose money.
My name is Yaniv Korem. I'm here to study successful innovation professionals and uncover the mindset and models they use to de-risk the future. On this podcast, I invite fellow professors, practitioners, and entrepreneurs to have an honest conversation about the business of innovation. No more bullshit. We talk openly and honestly about what works and what doesn't. So come on, get your ass in that seat. School's about to start. Hey Oded, welcome to school.
What's up, Yaniv? It's an honor.
Good, my man. It's good, my man. I like it when an episode starts like this because
Makes it a little bit more chill.
it's a little bit more chill. Usually it's a little bit more chill, but typically I don't have an Israeli guest on the show. So you are the first one, and I think our listeners are in for a treat.
Wow. Okay. I hope to represent well the country.
Yes, no pressure at all. You're representing Israel, and you're also like one of the, you're like one of the pillars of the ecosystem, startup ecosystem in Jerusalem. So you're going to have to represent that too. So absolutely no pressure.
I will. I hope.
Okay, let's get started. Let's dive right into it. So I thought we would talk about two things primarily in your background, but I kind of want to give some context before we get started because when I think about you, I think about Harvey Keitel's character in the movie Pulp Fiction, the wolf. You are like the guy I would call if I needed to get shit done. And you've gotten so much shit done in the last decade, it's insane. So let me give a brief list
I hope
for our
I hope I'm a
listeners.
little bit more gentle in real life, but yeah.
So you founded and sold your startup. You opened a neighborhood bar. You were one of the founding members of the first accelerator in Jerusalem called SIFTEK, which we're going to talk extensively about. You brought the global organization Creative Mornings to Jerusalem, and you are now the Executive Director of JNext, which is a high-tech and entrepreneurship program that's run by the Jerusalem Development Authority. So, my man, how do you get so much shit done? What is your secret power?
I'm not sure if it's a secret power, but I think, and I'm privileged. I think that in all those stuff that I did and was involved in the last 8 or 10 years, it was done with people that I trust. And again, the privilege was to be surrounded by people that I think was crucial to the journey that brought this stuff into life. So it's not like I did all those stuff alone. Um, in each stuff that I initiated or joined, it was because of the people I think that it was involved in.
Okay. Did you get a chance to pick? So I think there's an interesting takeaway here. First of all, for our listeners, uh, entrepreneurship innovation is always a team sport. You never do it alone. Um, but did you have a chance to pick your team or to pick the people you work with, or did those things just happen?
So in the first company that I started, which was like a small internet business, it was done with friends. So definitely I picked those people to work with, and it was first of all because I love them as people, I trust them, and I felt that we have the same energies and have the same vision, and wanted to do this together. In the bar, definitely it was because of the group of people that I joined with, and especially one of them that I was like, all right, he's a sole player. I trust that this is going to be fine, and we're not gonna. It's going to be like a fun adventure. we know that we're not going to be make a lot of money. It's not like a business to make money. It's more like a business to make fun and hopefully not to lose money. Um, and with SIFTEK, actually, so that's a different story. I joined a little bit after the beginning of SIFTEK, which I guess we're going to talk a lot more during the podcast. But I joined the team, and I actually replaced one of the founders. Um, so there, I didn't pick the people, but uh, this was like a pure luck or privilege that I really like. The people that I've joined there are friends until today.
Hmm. Okay. I want to touch on the. I want to dig into the trust piece. Um, how do you establish trust? How do you know that you can trust someone who you're going to start a venture with? How do you know that you can trust them, and how do you establish trust? Is it a gut feeling? Is it like a process that happens over time? Is it, do you like ask them specific questions? How does that happen?
So I guess for me, it's definitely a gut feeling. Like, and again, I didn't. I wasn't in a situation that it was like totally a blank page with a person that I started something with or joined something. In each initiative that I was involved with, I knew the people a little bit before. Even in SIFTEK, I knew the founders a little bit before I joined there. So I was exposed to the organization, to its activity. We even hosted like one of the meetups in the bar. So we had some initial relationship, and when I applied for like to be the managing director of the organization, so I already knew a little bit the people there. So I guess for me in each initiative, it's definitely to know a little bit the people that I'm going to work with. Um, and have like a relationship that I feel that I can trust those people, and I have the energies that I feel that okay, this is the people that I want to do something for a long time now.
Were you doing these things in parallel, or were you just kind of focusing on one thing at a time?
So in the bar, it was like I was more like a silent partner. I don't know, like I was not like directly involved in the day to day. I actually joined as like okay, I'm saying this like as an investor, uh,
Right.
but it's not like really an investor. But
We can add that to your
yeah,
list, by the
yeah.
way.
But actually, I found myself pretty much involved, also much more than I actually imagined in the first place, because I enjoyed it actually, because I enjoyed it and I really liked it. So I was like involved in the content, in the marketing, a little bit in the like the business background, and I was washing dishes. That was my primary role there, which I was really enjoying. Um,
Yeah.
and um,
There's
yeah,
something meditative about washing dishes.
yeah, yeah.
But I
So
mean, there's a lesson here. When you start a venture, you're like, you're not dividing roles, right? You're going to be the CEO, you're going to be the CEO, and
yeah,
sometimes young entrepreneurs, that's like the first thing on their minds. But you're actually doing everything.
yeah, definitely in the beginning. Like I guess when it gets a little bit more institutional, so that's where you make like a little bit more organized. But at the beginning, yeah, everybody's doing everything. And I guess this is also the fun part because you have this like the energy of the beginning. I think it's something that is it's a this is the experience that I love the most I think.
All right, so let's talk about SIFTEK. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning. Besides being the wolf, you are one of the pillars of the startup ecosystem in Jerusalem. And when I think about startups and Jerusalem, that combination, you're one of the first people I think about. And it's primarily like that's how we got to know each other through SIFTEK, which was Jerusalem's first startup accelerator. So tell me the origin story. How did it get started? How did you get started? How did you get into the founding team? How did it happen?
So I'm going to start by the story of SIFTEK. So first of all, a little bit about Jerusalem. So Israel, I guess, is like well known to a lot of people as like the startup nation, and a lot of innovation is happening in this country, especially relative to its size geographically and the population. The anchor of the tech scene in Israel is in the central area around Tel Aviv. Now, Jerusalem is not considered, and if you think of Jerusalem, most people would not say like, "Oh yeah, this is the innovation place of Israel." Most people will say, I don't know, like history, culture, religion, conflict, all those stuff. But I think there is a sense of creativity in the city, which is really, really strong and unique. And also, the social activism aspect of the city is really strong. So, a lot of people, and there is this ongoing narrative of the city of a negative migration of the young, creative, talented people to the central area, to the Tel Aviv area. A constant narrative that is going on in the city, and a lot of people, on the other hand, are trying to change that narrative from all different aspects and angles, not just entrepreneurship and innovation. Now, in 2012, so two amazing women, Stav Erez and Inbar Ziv, started this initiative from as part of the Hebrew University Student Union. So they started as part of the student union, and with a mission to just make Jerusalem a place where startups and young entrepreneurs can start and grow their companies. So again, I didn't pick the people that I work with in SIFTEK, and I mentioned the two amazing founders, Stav and Inbar, but I have to also mention two other people, Guy Cherney, which I led the organization together with him, and it was like a partner and still a very, very, very good friend that I'm privileged to know and work with, and Ayelet Cohen, which I joined the organization after she was already in. Um, and she's also a very good friend until today. And today she's actually one of the co-founders and leading team at Huggie Innovate, which is the Hebrew University Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center. Now, until then, again, there was no like a startup community or ecosystem and all those stuff in Jerusalem. We did have like the basic ingredients of a startup ecosystem, which I guess we're gonna speak and elaborate a little bit more later, such as strong academic institutions. Like we had like big and famous venture funds that are based in Jerusalem, such as JVP, Jerusalem Venture Partners. We did have a tradition of companies that did came out of Jerusalem, but I guess the glue of this like community and people that are actually speaking the language of innovation in the city, and sitting in coffee shops and talking about their startups and their ideas was not really happening on the ground. And the idea of SIFTEK was to change that narrative, was to create the platform where entrepreneurs can get the initial support for their companies, and also to create and promote and foster a community, a startup community in Jerusalem, where you have events and meetups and all those stuff that are happening in all places when you have an established ecosystem. So it was started as a very, underground initiative, actually literally underground. The first workshop held in floor -1 in the university, in the Hebrew University. And it was like a workshop for entrepreneurs, giving them the basic tools, bringing the angles of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs who share their stories, the legal aspects, the accounting aspects, all the stuff that you need in order to build your business. A little bit of mentorship and all that. Uh, Aside to that, SIFTEK also organized like meetups and events. Such as, for example, Off the Record serious meetups, which was like an event close to only like 20, 30 people. There was like a lot of waiting list there. with like really, really famous Israeli entrepreneurs, such as, for example, the founder of Waze, the founder of Fiverr, to just share their stories in a very intimate format. And the idea was to drive the conversation around innovation, that people will actually meet each other and discuss these topics. And then I think something really unique happened in Jerusalem when there was like a critical mass of also other community initiatives that happened in the same time, and also jointly with SIFTEK, that actually drove this topic forward and this agenda forward, such as Made in Jerusalem, which was founded also back then. Which is like a community organization for the startup community in Jerusalem. And I think this created like a critical mass and a tipping point where more and more people started to believe that, okay, we actually can start a startup ecosystem here. Um, I'm a big fan of Liverpool Football Club. We just won their first championship in England after 30 years. This is the first time that I see them win the championship. And their manager, which is I like really, I think is one of the most inspirational leaders. I think today in the world of doing something, of building an organization and culture. Um, so when he arrived to Liverpool, he said like we need to change from doubters to believers. And I think in Jerusalem we have a lot of doubts over like whether the city can be like sustainable economically, be a place where creative people can, do their stuff here. And people started to believe more and more, and SIFTEK then actually evolved and became like more of an official or formal accelerator. I joined, I think, a year after the organization started, where we were still in the university, and then we moved and started our own space in JVP Media Quarter, which was like, I think, one of the heartbeats of the startup scene in Jerusalem. It's a place where you have all those, companies that are working in this building, in this area. So it creates a lot of opportunities for engagements and collaborations, and the innovation language is there in the hallway. So I think it was really crucial that we decided to relocate to there, and then we just tried to create a more established accelerator, with expand our mentorship network, bring you on board, and I think this is where we saw that there is more and more demand to what we do, and the ripple effect of the stuff that we did, I think, which was the big impact that I'm really proud that we made in Jerusalem, which we have more accelerators now, and everything is happening not just by one organization.
Okay, fantastic. Oded, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Yaniv. And I wanted to thank you for all what you gave to SIFTEK during the time we worked together.
I really had a great time there.
So you gave like really good talks in the accelerators. You brought really, really interesting and original angle, and helped a lot of people with your wisdom. So
Thank
thanks
you.
for
That's
that.
very kind. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Take care, my good man.
Thank you so much. See you around.